Today I'm talking with DJ Taz Rashid. Taz is a musician, DJ, and producer from the Chicago area who's been creating soundscapes for the healing arts for a number of years now. Today we're going to talk about his transition from his corporate life into DJing, how he manifested a lot of what he's working towards right now through the practices that he has. Talk about how his work with festivals, ecstatic dance, and silent discos has influenced him as a musician and helped him find collaborations to work with. But one of the things that I love about what Taz is doing is he's creating safe spaces for community to gather. And that's one of the most important things I think we can do right now is find safe places to where we can be ourselves, we can experience healing, and we can feel the love of community. I'm really grateful for Taz's time. I love talking music with DJs and musicians. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. We'll see you on the other side. But first, a message from our sponsor. Anamkara is a gorgeous meditation and healing center, offering daily in-person and virtual services to help bring you back to the center of who you truly are. They serve through a collective of practitioners, healers, and teachers, offering daily meditation classes, one-on-one healing sessions, workshops, personal ceremonies, and private events, plus corporate and team training, all with mindfulness at the core. The center itself is located in the heart of downtown Spokane. Every part of it was built, designed, and curated for you to drop into your calm place. They have a large community space for daily meditation classes and workshops, as well as 2 one-on-one healing rooms, a community kitchen to gather for tea, plus a well-stocked apothecary for you to gather all of your self-care and ritual needs. Hannah Talbot, the owner and founder of Anamkara, dreamed of opening this space for years. It is her ultimate manifestation, and she cannot wait to share it with those in the Spokane community, but also through the virtual ethers, wherever you may be. Pop in for a class today. You can follow them on Instagram to book and stay up to date. Check out the website, the full schedule, meet the practitioners, and view all the offerings. Visit them at anamkarahealing.center. Anamkara, may you be nourished and ignited. Our healing journey can be difficult and might feel lonely at times. That's why I love sound baths. When we can get together in a community, we intrinsically support and feel supported by others. And that combined energy can help us go deeper into our own healing journeys. And all you have to do is just lay there for 1 hour and listen to beautiful healing sounds. I'm a sound healing practitioner, and I hold sound baths on a regular basis in the greater Seattle area. You can find my next sound baths on my website at adamrealhealing.com. That's Adam, A-D-A-M, Real, R-I-E-H-L, Healing, Healing.com. AdamRealHealing.com. Your healing is worth your time. And now an uninterrupted podcast with DJ Taz Rashid. All right, welcome back to our show. Today I'm joined via Zoom by an amazing DJ and a gentleman that I had the pleasure of meeting a number of years ago, Mr. DJ Taz Rashid. Taz, I met Taz at an actual playlist workshop for yoga teachers about almost 10 years ago, probably 7 to 10 years in there. I was trying to pinpoint when it was we saw each other last. And it was a beautiful workshop because it was right when I first started doing yoga, teaching yoga, and I love music. I'm a musician on my side, on the side, and I've parlayed that into sound healing. But at that point in time, like I was trying to figure out how I could curate the best playlist for the class that I wanted to teach without taking over, without being able to, without my voice getting muddled. And you had this beautiful workshop that you taught me a lot into. And then, then you're continuing to make music. You're producing, you're DJing, you're writing, you're a musician of many, many instruments. And just as a yoga teacher, I just told you this before we hit record, but as a yoga teacher, I just have to say how much I'm just appreciative and thankful for the music that you make, because it's so hard for us as yoga teachers to find that the right songs that fit with what we're trying to do, or the energy, or if I'm a male yoga teacher, having female vocalists so they don't collide with what I'm trying to put out there, or having ambient quiet music to help us kind of get that point across. So Taz, I'm so excited to talk with you, brother. Thank you so much for taking this time and for carving time out of your day for us.
Yeah, Adam, it's thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to be here and share, my journey and story and, whatever we're going to chat about, but absolutely. And where was it that we were, because I was doing that workshop kind of like all over, like right. With Wanderlust and Yoga Journal. I can't remember, where was it at?
It was in Kirkland area in Washington. and it was at B1 Yoga Studio. And
Oh, B1. Okay, now I remember.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was
Okay,
Cammy
okay.
and Chuck that introduced me to you.
Yes. Oh
Yes.
yeah, those guys are great. I haven't seen them
Yeah.
in a while. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, so
That's cool.
yeah, so for you, man, how did you kind of parlay what you were doing previously into the healing arts, into yoga, into these festivals?
Well, I'll just share like I was in the corporate world from like 2006 till like 11, and I was always a musician, I was always playing music since childhood. My main thing was, piano and guitar. Like since like fifth grade, I started playing piano. I always thought of it as like a hobby thing, nothing like ever, was like, oh, I can actually do this as like a living,
Hmm.
until literally like I read some books like Celestine Prophecy and The Secret was like one of them back in 2007 that
Yeah.
like I started learning about the law of attraction. And I was just like, holy cow, like there's these people that are just like living their lives and kind of like shaping their realities. And that was just like something that fascinated me. I was always into like self-help type stuff, since like early, like in college, even like reading like Dale Carnegie books. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Oh yeah.
It was like The Leader in You and stuff like how to win friends and influence people. And
Influence people. That's
I
what I've read.
found yeah. So these are like old school books, like on how to like improve yourself as a human being, kind of thing. And I just remember like when I first found the book, The Secret, I literally thought I found like the secret of life, of like, holy crap, cow, like I can change my life. And I was in a band at that time, I was in the corporate world, but I was in a band. I had the whole band like sit down and watch the movie,
Oh damn.
and they were looking at me like I was crazy, like bro, like what is this? Like you're saying that I can just think things and it'll happen? You're crazy, man. And so like I realized at that point, like these were friends of mine, but I was like, man, I kind of need to go a different way,
Hmm.
of like meeting more like-minded people. And that kind of started my journey. And I also met my wife now, but she was my girlfriend at that time around like the 2008 time, who was already deep in this path, of like mindfulness and spirituality. And for me, those 3 years, 2008 to 11, when I left the corporate world, it was like really shaping my mind into where I am today. But it was like this exit strategy that I didn't know that I was exiting, but
Hmm.
I was creating this path to exit the matrix, really, of like what I thought I had to like be into like a life of purpose.
Yeah.
And when I did leave in 2011, it wasn't like I was a music producer right away. It wasn't like, oh yeah, like I'm making yoga music and meditation music and ecstatic dance and this and that. It was like I was like, I want to do something with music. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know that's my purpose and I want to awaken people with it.
Hmm. Well, you are
That
definitely
was
doing that.
like that was my big aha in 2011. I worked with my coach Soleo, and he was just like he wasn't like my official coach back then. He was just like offering me some sessions to help me out. Now I work with him closely, um, and he was just what is your mission and purpose? And I was like, well, what Spirit's telling me is that like I need to awaken humanity and empower humanity with music. So I
Hmm.
like wrote that down and I wasn't producing music yet. I used to play a lot of instruments, but I didn't know all the gadgetry of like, working with a platform, like a software and hardware and stuff like that to actually record.
Hmm.
But when I wrote that down, that created this like energy that I started, like I taught myself how to DJ first. And then I was like, I never played nightclubs. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you come from the nightclub scene, Chicago house." Like, no, I actually never played nightclubs. I used to just party in nightclubs when I
Right.
was younger. Like
Yeah.
I never played music there. But when I left that whole scene, I wanted. That's when It's funny. I left the nightclub scene, and then I wanted to learn how to DJ. But then I was DJing my own like sober parties, like conscious gatherings,
Wow.
and I just wanted to share that to show like that's kind of like how I led into it. And then I was like being invited to start DJing at these like yoga events all over Chicago. That's where I lived.
Wow.
And then, as I was traveling, I was like, I should be like making my own music, because as a DJ, it's like it's cool, but like you don't have any like your own music unless you're producing. So because I could play a lot of instruments, I was like, I better learn some software and start writing some songs because I knew how to do it.
Yeah.
And that kind of got me, the wheels turning, and like it was kind of an exponential lift off. I feel like a lot of gratitude for all the people who was supporting me from day one. It was just like people just put me in the spotlight. I feel like they were
Wow.
like, do this, do that, all through invitation too. I never forced myself into anything.
Hmm.
It was all like, hey, you want to do this and you want to play here. Never applied to like any kind of events or whatever. It was just like, you know, hey, you want to do this, or we'd like to book you, or come try this experience.
Yeah. And that's, I think when we have those actualization moments, when we can find how all the interesting things that we are passionate about, like the music, the
Yeah.
structure that corporate can give you, all these different things that we're passionate about, when we can find our ways to like link that stuff together, it's like the path unfolds in front of us.
Oh yeah,
Not to say there's never any hardships or things that we have to try at, but, that
absolutely.
initially, like just, hearing your story, finding the passion to want to create this beautiful music for these atmospheres, and then having the groups that you're creating it for just reach out and be like, hey,
Hmm.
you're doing great stuff and we want you to be a part of this. It shows that like you're doing the right thing. That's the path that you're supposed to be on right now for me.
Totally. And the synchronicities, like it's like synchronicities are happening all the time in our life. It's like, are we open to like become aware of them?
Right.
Can we actually like be mindful that, oh my God, this connection, the seeing the connections, that's a really that's like a muscle we start growing, is
Definitely.
to actually recognize the synchronicities that are taking place like all the time. Because there's like, the hardships, or when a project goes down or doesn't work out, like there's a reason everything's happening. In the moment we may not see it, but it's like, so we start becoming aware of it quicker. Like something breaks down and doesn't work. It's like, all right, there's something here.
Yeah.
What's the magic here for this to fail, or whatever you want to call it, fail, or like another door opening.
Right. I love the phrase, it's not a failure, it's the 10,000th attempt at success. We keep
Exactly.
trying and we
Yeah,
learn.
you just keep exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So did you have a spiritual practice before you kind of went into this realm of your life? It sounds like you kind of had some kind of a spiritual practice ahead of time.
I really got into meditation around 2007,
Okay.
like 2006, 2007. Like guided meditations with binaural beats. That's
Mm,
really been my kind of spiritual. I mean, I grew up like kind of in the Abrahamic faith, when I was like younger. I grew up Muslim.
okay.
I believe, I believed in it. It was never like I didn't believe in the religion or anything like that, but I was just always connected more in like a spiritual path. And luckily on my parents, like especially on my dad's side, they were part of like the mystical side of Islam, which is
Oh.
like the Sufis.
Hmm.
And so they're very open-minded my whole life. Like they were very spiritual in that sense, where they actually accepted all backgrounds and paths, whether it be Hindus or Jews
Hmm.
or Christians or whatever background. It was always like, hey, these are all God's people. People have different religious backgrounds, but they're all worshiping, this one energy,
Hmm.
this higher power. So I always like had that as my backbone, and that's never changed. But it's the power of meditation that started getting me into my internal world more,
Right.
that allowed me to start really, especially like, I don't know if you're familiar with binaural
Hmm.
beats. That stuff is, I can just tell you right now, that stuff changed my life to a degree where it literally reshaped, and it's still continuing to reshape my subconscious, because I still listen to binaural beats and music, guided meditations all the time. And I do it like, right when I either wake up or in the morning or fall asleep, right before falling asleep.
Hmm.
It's like in that, it's called, I mean, the technical term is the hypnagogic state. So
Right.
it's like when you're like not fully asleep, or when you're kind of awake, but it's like that halfway state. But that's a powerful time to actually change into your entire, you can plant seeds, okay,
Right.
of how you want to see your reality unfold. And I was doing that back in 2006, 7, with like positive thinking guided meditations, because I
Yeah.
was like doing all kinds of crazy corporate jobs. And I was just trying to stay like positive about what I was doing. But that stuff literally got me out of that world, like because I was getting into metaphysical
Hmm.
meditations, with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to,
So that was a big part in the beginning. Yeah.
yeah, most definitely. And, and it's so good to find those things to give us sanity, because I came from a
Yeah.
corporate world myself, and yoga was my thing that I found, that initial kind of like, all right, dude,
Yes.
this is something that's different than what you've been doing. You can chew on it, you can change yourself, but it's up to you, and then that led to meditation, led to sound healing and all that stuff. But, it's
Hmm.
beautiful, that state that you talk about. I haven't heard that term before. What was it? It was
It's called the hypnagogic state.
hypnagogic. That's that's
Yeah.
basically when I do my sound baths for communities. That's the
Yeah.
state that we try to get people in. You
Like
set your
theta.
intention exactly, yeah. So you can
Yeah.
really work on those deep intentions and quiet
Absolutely.
yourself down so you can see the universe working with you instead of sometimes we think that the world is working against us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
So
so the yeah, alpha and theta states, those are like what I'm kind of like working towards in my daily meditations and productions, because I now make binaural beats. I actually like produce this stuff, and it's kind of cool and exciting. And yeah.
yeah, it's a full circle on that, man. Gotta love that.
Totally.
Actually, yeah, some of your early stuff that you put out early on with that I found on Spotify is some of that binaural kind of stuff, and I'll use that in my healing sessions with
Hmm.
Reiki
Oh,
energy work,
awesome.
and yeah. So I mean, there's just so
Beautiful.
many different layers of what you offer that is just so beautiful to us in
Thank
this
you.
industry. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So with your festival work, it just seems like that was a natural progression into your work. Just to move into these like Wanderlust type festivals and holding space for these big community classes. Was that,
Yeah.
yeah? How was that transition going from corporate life in this like, this 9 to 5 kind of gig into people out there in these beautiful healing events out there to like help themselves in some kind of way, and there's no like profit and loss statements, there's no budgets to deal with, it's just you, humanity, the music you're creating, and this beautiful energy.
Yeah. I think like around like May 2011 is when I kind of like officially left my last like job where I was in a cubicle and working for the man, like
Right.
kind of like idea. It was actually a university, like an online university, and I was recruiting students for like 2.5 years. That was my last uh like job, I guess, at a corporation.
Mhm.
And so from like 2011 till 2000, like I think 13, like those 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, I just taught myself how to DJ. And like it wasn't like I was playing these big festivals right away. I was doing a lot of local events. Like
Mhm.
I was like really getting grounded into myself as like an offering of like what I was. And it wasn't like I didn't even really realize how much conscious type stuff was out there in the world, and nor did I really care to like go play at festivals, to be honest with you. Like it was more like I wanted to just kind of do things locally.
Mhm.
There's a lot of folks who are like want to be, want to jump on the big stage, or like how do I go play these huge festivals. I always tell people, I'm like, what are you doing in your local scene? Like what are you doing in your town? Like are you able to create some sort of value? And so my wife and I, we used to like guide like a meditation every Friday.
Mhm.
And then after that, people would just sometimes hang out and I would play music. And they were like, you have really cool music. Like, where do you get this and that? And I was like, we should do like a dance party or something. And we had a few other people in the community that were doing some kind of conscious events. So I started doing my own. It was called Club Divine.
Mhm.
And it was cool. Like right away, we had like our first event, we had like 60 people. I was like, oh my God, this is cool. It's like
Yeah.
it was like a nightclub, but there was no alcohol being served. And I started partnering with some of these other folks in the Chicago that were doing these events,
Mhm.
and like all of a sudden it was like a monthly gig, and between like 100 to 200 people would come to these, and it was just fun, and I was just like really cultivating myself in that, and then through that, like different community members, and I feel like festivals, people would recommend me,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden I was like DJing at these things like Hanuman Fest and Boulder or Arise Festival. And then and someone else would see me there and be like, hey, come up to Yoga Journal and do this
Mhm.
here. This teacher wants to hire you. And then I was playing the Chicago. One of the biggest events I first did was like 2014, I think, with Wanderlust,
Mhm.
or maybe it was 2013, and it was in Chicago, and it was at Grant Park, and there was like I think 6 to 8 thousand people in the class, and
Wow.
I was just like floored at like, oh my gosh, like there's like so many people waking up in this world, awakening through yoga and meditation. Is this a is this an actual like career path? You know, I had to like think about that. I was like, is this an actual, like, is this real? Can I
Right.
make a living doing this? Because like a yoga DJ going from studio to studio, it was like kind of fun. You know, you make a couple $100 here and there,
Uh-huh.
you know, but it is like, is that you can you raise a family like that? You know,
Right.
like these are, you have to ask the real questions. But I realized like there's definitely an a world of it, a community that's supporting it, and then you have to really figure out how to monetize that path, you know,
Yes.
because really you have to make it work for yourself and your family. Otherwise, it's like that's why it's called a music business. You know, it's not just music. Like there's a business side to it,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and that's something I'm grateful for. My degree in marketing in college and organizational leadership. So I had a double major
Okay.
and I had a minor in entrepreneurship.
Oh,
So like I was like, but I was like, what am I gonna do with this? But I'm kind of doing all that right now for
yeah.
myself, you know, and I'm grateful for my degree. And
Yeah.
I went to a good school and stuff and you know,
It's like you
so
were silently setting yourself up for this path
yeah,
without even realizing it. You know, I think that's so important
totally.
to understand is like, you know, where we start isn't always where we finish, but the skills that we learn along the way can definitely benefit that outcome, you know, and the structure and the skills that we learn in, let's say, a corporate atmosphere can give us
Yeah.
the structure and understanding we need to make this a business, to make this something that's sustainable so that we're not just jumping from place to place and we have some kind of
Oh
future that
yeah.
we can have for. And that's a
And
lovely.
so much of our path, you know, sorry to cut you off. I was gonna say so much from on what you were saying is like so much of our, you know, in the creative path as an entrepreneur is actually sales.
Hmm.
Like you are literally doing sales for yourself, whether you want to call it that or not. A lot of like spiritualists, musicians, they don't want to think of it like that. But the truth of the matter is you are negotiating every single time you're speaking to a concert promoter
Mm-hmm.
or a festival person. Like you're trying to ask for a price that you feel like you're worth,
Right.
and they're trying to negotiate with you. And especially in the beginning, you know, as you're getting started, it is more cutthroat sales because you're like, hey, I need like X amount to come out because I need to cover my flight, my time,
Mm-hmm.
my rental car, my baggages, my Ubers, you know, all that's, and then I need to get paid something, and then there may be like, oh yeah, we have $500, that's it, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, is that worth it? Do I need to do that? So these are all like you have to really be super dialed in with your value, with the time, you know, your worth. If you have a family, you have to figure out like, as is it worth for me to leave? You
Mm-hmm.
know, like what's the value? So these are the areas where it's so important to understand um, your just personal value and how to ask for what you're trying to do. You know,
Right.
so I'm grateful for my background and also like I saw one year during my those corporate years. I had a lot of crazy jobs, but
Yeah.
I'll share this because I think some folks may find it interesting. Like I sold copier machines for a year
Okay.
when I like, and these are like, this is outside sales. This is some of the most cutthroat sales. You literally are going door to door, talking to people and being like, hey, do you need a copier machine?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not that blunt, but it's like, but that process of human connection and
Mm-hmm.
this and that, oh my God, like I learned so much that year, you know?
Yeah.
Do I ever want to do it again? Absolutely not.
Right.
But you know, I did it,
Yeah.
you know, like
Uh-huh.
getting kicked out of buildings and
Yeah.
in Chicago, wearing suits at like, you know, 95 degrees kind of weather in Chicago heat, like in August, like it's crazy.
Yeah, there's no fun in that. Well, I think that, you know,
Uh,
that's a really important point you just made is that, you know, even though we're in this healing realm, we're still business and we're still business oriented, but we get to define what those terms mean now. I just
yeah.
actually had a conversation with a yoga studio owner not too long ago, and she had some discrepancy that she was dealing with. And she's like, I'm not a businesswoman. I don't want to be a businesswoman. I'm like, well,
Mm.
you own a business. You're a businesswoman, right? So technically you are, but you get to define those terms. So if you think
Yeah.
businesswoman and you think cutthroat, you know, anything for the dollar, then that's not the term that you want to be defined by. So you get to
Yeah.
define that, but you are that person, right? You get to understand
Exactly.
how the business is going to be resolved around you or revolved around you, but we still got to step into those terms, you know?
Totally.
But I think, you know, one of the things that I love about what you're doing right now is you create safe space for communities. And that's, you know, that's community is so important, but safe spaces for community is getting kind of tough right now. There's just a lot of, just interesting things happening in the world. And it's not always the safest to go out in community. And so to
Oh
have
yeah.
these places that you can be yourself, you can explore your spirituality or humanity of whatever that it is. But, ecstatic dance, the silent discos, the yoga, I mean,
Yep.
just we need this stuff, and
Yeah.
whether you look at it for the spiritual side or the community side, like we need these safe spaces. So like creating this opportunity for communities to gather and to heal, I think is one of those things that we need more of in this world right now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of my events are exactly what you said. They're like conscious. So my wife and I do, so we live in Florida now, and we do this event called Soul Groove once a month. And it's really like we're honestly offering it as like a donation to the, like, we charge a little at the door, but there are like, between 30 to 50 people that come,
Hmm.
and so it's like it's just, we're just doing it so her and I can do an event together.
Yeah.
But people are coming and dancing and having fun, and she's, doing an opening intention setting, closing meditation, and people are like having healing
Wow.
experiences. And it's a complete safe space. There's no alcohol, um some people may be stoned. I don't know. But we're not giving anything. We're not passing anything out, and no one's doing it at the event. Is
Right.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We do them at like yoga studios or like chiropractor centers and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's a safe space, for people to come have like a dance experience. And then all my yoga stuff, like total safe experiences for people.
Yeah. Well, with the yoga stuff, that's something I'm really intrigued about. So when you curate these beautiful playlists and these sound experiences for yoga classes or these festivals,
Yeah.
do you collaborate with the teacher as to like, okay, so I'm going to kind of teach like this, and then I want this kind of upbeat or blah blah blah, or is it
Yeah.
you just kind of go in there and just feel out the room and just play to what you feel?
Yeah, 98% of the time I'm just going in there and organically creating it on the spot. Like I don't have any playlists created. I'll connect with the teacher ahead sometimes, and we'll just say like, yeah, it's going to be a upbeat vinyasa class, or like it's going to be a down, more chill energy, slow kind of experience. Most of my experiences are like strong vinyasa flow type classes that are like the one-offs.
Hmm.
Like at festivals, I may do different things, because there's like multiple offerings, but usually they're like powerful flow classes with like awesome music, that starts kind of grounded, build energy high, and then, people are on the floor, shavasana.
Yeah.
There might be some dancing in the middle if the teacher's down with the stuff like that. But yeah, it's a matter of trust. Like I trust the teacher to do his or her thing. I'm not telling them to sequence anything, and they trust me to do the thing. And almost no teacher has ever, they don't even say anything because they just trust me,
Right.
like, especially now, like every once in a while there'll be a teacher that's like, can you play this song? And it depends on what it is, I'll work with them. But
Right.
usually like that's why I'm there, to do my expertise, and for them they're doing their expertise.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's mutual respect.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like just you just kind of play off each other and just feel the
Exactly.
energies and move through it. That's
Play
beautiful.
off each other, and also play off the crowd, see where they're feeling. There's so many cool factors going on. And for me as a musician, I'll share as a DJ, is that I have to be super, it's like my meditation. I'm like so alert. I'm almost like anticipating what might happen 10, 15 seconds ahead.
Yeah.
So it's like that's like an intuition type thing that gets built over time. It's like a DJ muscle,
Hmm.
especially in in a yoga setting. It's like, because I don't know where the teacher's going to go always. But sometimes I know, oh, they still have another side left, and then we might go down to pigeon,
Yeah.
or like we may go up in energy or something like that.
It's
It's fun. It's cool.
it's amazing, man. I mean, it just the to hear you talk about it and to know that you've kind of taught yourself how to do this stuff, man. And it's so beautiful to
Yeah.
really lean into that intuition, because that's, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what they kind of teach us in yoga. You follow your
Hmm.
intuition, you follow what the energy's bringing to you, and then you kind of curate that from there. And so to have
Yeah.
like a live DJ that can also
Yeah.
work within that conjunction with the teacher, with the group, like that's where the magic happens. There's so much beauty that happens with that.
And sometimes the most fun is when, or not, usually the most fun is when the teacher's really working with the energy of the music as well. So like it's a two-way thing. Like I'm working with their energy. The teacher's like, oh, the beat's pumping right now, let's turn it up. Or like, all right, it's starting to go down, let's take it down a notch. So it's like, those are like, it's like, oh wow, like they work with what I'm offering them, and
Hmm.
vice versa, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. With all the different types of events that you do right now, what do you kind of gravitate more towards? I don't know if like favorite would be the right word, but from all the
Yeah.
different types that you do.
Honestly, I have like such different, like I'm like not even the word bipolar, but like like I feel like I have these different personalities
All right.
as a person of like my offering. I do these like deep, like almost like not shamanic, but like it could be. They're like trance-inducing type, like with breath work. Like I'm
Mm,
working on like breath work tracks where like the music is created for you to breathe along with. I did it
yeah.
for a project once, and then now I'm like really building them out with another artist. His name is Jesse Klein, and he's adding his instruments on there, and like so there's like super like breathwork meditative type experiences,
Hmm.
and then I have these like awesome yoga classes that are fun and like cool, but they can also be very deep.
Yeah.
So the energy is very different though, you know? And then there's like these dance parties that I do, which is straight up like could be like more festive, you know, or um I like to do so I think like those are the three main kind of offerings that I'm
Hmm.
really excited to do as far as like my performance wise, like as a DJ and a musician.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to incorporate more live instruments with these things. So
Ah.
I get to so with my dance sets, I'm starting to play like more live instruments on top of my DJ sets, so whether it be like hand drums or my some of my flutes or
Mm,
a jaw harp. um I don't really like to travel with my guitar. I mean, I love playing my guitar, but it's a lot to carry.
yeah.
So, like things like didgeridoos are easier, like smaller instruments like shakers, and I'll bust them out. It's fun for me, and
Yeah.
people like it. So I think those are my three experiences, but my most popular experience, of course, is the yoga thing, right? Still to the
Yeah.
like that's what I get booked way more at like festivals and stuff, and then sometimes I'll do like a dance set on top of that.
Hmm. Wow, the layering of the live instrumentation on top of the DJing, like I love that. That's something special, man. Is
Hmm.
that something you're going to work towards, kind of incorporating more into your DJ
Yeah,
sets?
yeah, especially for the dance sets, and I don't ever like want to like push it like because it's like it's a matter of like carrying these instruments to the
Yeah.
events.
Oh yeah.
So like I have to be able to, do that. And a lot of times I'm doing these events with like where I'm like flying out with the 100 sound off headphones. So I'm already at like three suitcases
Oh,
that are
gee.
like the full size and then like carry on
Yeah.
and the small suitcase. I'm like rolling out with five bags, like three full suitcases, five things. I can do it, but like then if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna throw all these instruments in there and have a suitcase of merch,
Hmm.
like it's like so I have to really choose, like that's why like bringing a guitar is like sometimes like you know, it's not conducive to like what I need to do, let's just say.
Yep.
But a bunch of small instruments, like like a pan flute or something like that, or I can just like I don't know if
Right.
that's coming through the sound or not, but it'll sound great on top of some instruments,
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm running into right now is traveling with the instruments. I do sound healing and sound baths, and a bunch of crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, percussive
mm,
instruments, and
yeah,
traveling from around Washington State's no problem. But when we started going across
yeah.
country and with the crystal bowls, it's
Oh
precarious.
man, absolutely. So yeah, so you got to make decisions on what you want to bring along and things like that. But
Hmm.
I'm one of my goals is to actually, I'll tell you, since you asked a question, like this year at a bunch of festivals, I'm actually going to do like an all original like dance set with
Oh,
visuals and some
yeah.
live instrumentation. But it's like kind of like a curated like experience that's people are not doing yoga, but they're not necessarily dancing the whole time. Like it could be like almost like a performance where they may start seated, but they're watching really cool visuals that I'm kind of controlling and I've created ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
There may be some spoken word, some poetic type stuff. It's like so it's like a cool experience, but with all original stuff that I've created.
Yeah.
And I play some flutes and some instruments on top of that. But I'm leaning towards more of like a global, earthy, like kind of like expression of that.
Hmm.
And then they might get into like I'll guide them to like dance in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and so it's just like I'm excited to do that this year.
I love that, man. That's
It's
like,
really
it's like
cool.
creating a whole soundscape experience for people.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Wow. I love that,
totally,
man.
totally.
There's
I'll
a
be doing
gentleman.
it. Yeah, I'm doing it at Telluride Yoga Festival in Colorado,
Okay.
and a few other places. So,
Oh, that's great, man. So when you do something like that, are you looping? Are you using a looper and like playing an instrument, loop that, and then move along? Or are you kind of like just
I,
dialing in?
I do have, yeah, I do have loopers and stuff, but for this experience, I'm playing my tracks kind of as they are, and some of them I'm taking instruments out or just
Mm,
playing new instruments on top of the tracks.
cool.
So, but live looping is really cool, and that's like a whole nother experience in itself.
Right.
To really do that well, you have to like bring out a bunch more instruments than. So I'm doing this with my DJ equipment and some like hand. I have like a hand pad that I play. It's called
Hmm.
Roland hand pan
Oh
or
yeah.
hand was it hand sonic and just a bunch of different sounds, but they sound really great, like djembes and congas and things like that. And then I'll add the different flutes, the native flutes. Then I can bring the didgeridoos, and I've been really getting into playing jaw harps. I don't know if you're
Oh
familiar with
yeah.
that. It's
Most
like a
definitely.
trance inducing. It's I don't see if I have one around here. I have some back there, but it's pretty sweet. Like people love it when I'm playing that on top of my dance stuff because I have like eight of them, just different keys. So
Right.
this song's in the key C and wow, 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 like whatever.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
with collaborations, man, it seems like you've been doing a lot of collaborations with different musicians, different artists, different producers. How do you kind of choose who you want to work with and what kind of projects that you're
Yeah.
moving towards?
A lot of people remix my stuff. And the reason I'm like, I love helping people out. And what I'm doing is I'm seeing who I actually enjoy working with and who's creating good stuff. So I'm like, I'm not telling them this all the time, but I'm literally seeing like who are actually serious. Like, 'cause there's sometimes like artists that really love my stuff, and they'll create a remix, and I'll play it. And I'm like, wow, they did something amazing. And then I'll reach out to them like, hey, let's do something else.
Hmm.
So I believe in it's like a funnel, like I'm working with a ton of people. And for me, it's sometimes the remix. It's actually helping them out because when I'm releasing it, it's under my if they're a smaller artist, I want to help them, so it's like they're getting good plays and things like that. Um, they're getting paid, through it.
Yeah,
And for me, it's like I'm doing it because it's not like you're going to work with everyone all the time. That's impossible. But
right.
I like to give people a chance to work with so I can see like, oh, this is a really good relationship here. We make music easily
Hmm.
and having fun too. Like it's like, you meet other musicians that you have fun with. That's a good thing. So,
Definitely.
and people hire me all the time too to like actually make remixes.
Mm,
Um, work for hire. Oh yeah, absolutely. So, for me, it's because I'm busy. I have a lot going on, so I have to
yeah.
really value my time, and I can't take on every project.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely, man. Well, some of the, I mean, there's the newest song that you just released, at least that I saw. It was with Benji Wertheimer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a remix I did for Maria Stark actually,
Okay.
and we just released an instrumental of that remix that I did, and we enjoyed, and be like, hey, the instrumental is actually really great too. Let's release that.
Hell yeah, man. That's great. With so with all this, I mean, you're just it seems like you're creating, you're collaborating, you're doing all these things. Where did the royalty-free music kind of come into it? Did you kind of hear the yoga
Oh,
teachers like complaining about there's like having to pay royalties for music and that was something that kind of spurred that?
well, yeah, I did that really for these individual teachers in 2020, when everyone kind of went online on YouTube, on Zoom, and people were reaching out to me, and I was like, how could I create something that's like very affordable? And this is really for these individual teachers and small studios. This wasn't really for like big platforms, that actually have huge budgets and
Right.
stuff like that. I created something that like just a simple like subscription program for individual teachers, and it was like $100 a year, and they got access to my music to put in their like videos. It's like an incredible deal actually at
Yeah.
the end of the day, because it's $100 a year when you're getting access to like hundreds and hundreds of tracks of all
Yeah.
different types and being able to monetize it's insane. So I never really promoted it hardcore, but like there's hundreds of teachers using it,
Yeah.
and a lot of studios still, and it's way past COVID days, you know, so there are people that are really benefiting off of it, you know.
Yeah.
Will I keep it around forever? I'm not sure because um but for now it's good. You know,
Yeah.
I'm helping people and there's the ones who actually use it are seeing the benefit of it.
Yeah.
And that was the idea, is to like, so they didn't have to like worry about like paying royalties later and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
And that's, that's something that I think right before COVID, I think it was about 2018, 2019. Now that the healing arts and yoga is starting to get a little more popular, a little more corporatized. The ASCAPs, BMIs,
Oh
CSACs
yeah.
started to reach out to yoga studios and
Hmm.
saying that we're
Absolutely.
basically holding live concert events is what they're
Yep.
classifying it as. And we had to pay, I think, between the three subscriptions, it's almost $1,400 a year.
Yeah.
Between the three, and I think there's a fourth one now too. So so
Hmm.
that as an
And
option
that's
for
just for live classes. That's not even for anything that's being recorded, because
exactly
that's a different type of sync license. There's like, a live, license, like a PRO that you pay, and
right.
then there's the one that's like a sync license. So what I did was something that I offered two licenses kind of at the same time, because it's coming directly from the artist,
Hmm.
so they could use it in their live classes if they wanted to, or they could put it in their like actual videos,
Yeah.
that's on things. So um again, like that's something I just did to help folks during 2020, and it's just kind of stuck around and I haven't taken it down yet,
Yeah.
but people are still liking it, so
Yeah,
let's
it's
keep it
immensely helpful.
going.
I've used it many times for some live stuff.
Oh,
Not for any
sweet. Okay,
recordings, but
cool.
yeah, for some live stuff, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
Well,
Good,
yeah.
good, good.
With all the stuff that you do, like your family
Yeah.
man, you got your
Yep.
production stuff you're working on. What and especially the reason I ask this question is because after I do sound baths, it takes me at least 20 minutes to kind of reset, meditate, kind of get back in my body. And
Totally.
that's 50, 60 people. You're hosting these thousands and thousands of people. So what are some of your reset practices after you finally like shut the doors, get the cases shut, you're back in your own space? Like how do you get back to being Taz?
Yeah, YouTube videos, bro. No, I'm
Okay.
just kidding. No, no. For okay, so I love to do. There's a couple things I really love to do. I do like watching YouTube videos, but that's not what I do to reset. My reset is I do this Wim Hof breathwork experience that it's like a 12-minute thing. I almost do this every day, and especially after it's just like a different kind of like breath work exercise, like a couple different rounds. You do some holds, and some of the other things I do to like keep my sanity are I practice yoga,
Hmm.
as much as I can, at least 3 times, maybe 4 times a week. A lot of like isometric type exercise, just like body weight type stuff.
Okay.
And then meditation,
Yeah.
like at least 20 to 40-minute meditations. I love guided meditations personally.
Yeah.
I just like an active meditation where my mind's only kind of like getting what's needed in the practice. So for me, that actually works because your mind is doing stuff either way.
Hmm.
I do love silent meditations at times, but usually I love guided meditations. Um, I also do a cold plunge.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. So I own it's called a Plunge. I don't know if you've seen that brand.
I don't think I've seen that
It's like the
brand.
white tub. Do you know what I'm talking
I do
about?
know what you're talking about. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, their marketing is all over.
Hmm.
Um, but I own one of them. It's in our garage. It's amazing. It's seriously like it's state of the. I think it's one of the best things out there because keeps the water cold. I keep it at 50 degrees usually. Um, for me that's fine. It goes out down to like 38 degrees. Um, Also some other practice sauna. We have a infrared sauna,
Okay.
and that's a great resetter,
Yeah.
as far as just like I go meditate in there actually. I'll sit in there for like 40 minutes and just meditate.
Damn, that's great. Yeah, the cold
These are
plunge
all
for me
different
is
tools.
yeah, the cold plunge for me has been a newer one that I've added in that's really been super helpful for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's it.
All these practices, and also so I do a lot of different, and then I have a Peloton, which
Hmm.
is like a bike. So that like sometimes like when you have a lot of different like energies, it's just good to like sweat and
Yes.
like get whatever. It's like you just shake off like a lot of stuff. So like doing something high intensity, when you're breathing faster and sweating it out.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my hot yoga practice that you just described.
Yeah. So I love hot yoga. So like I love hot yoga, but honestly, I just don't go to a studio these days. Like it's weird since like 2020. Like I haven't really my studio, like going to a studio and practicing has just never picked back up for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm always practicing at home, usually on apps that I'm creating music for,
Oh, there you go.
anyways. And I'm practicing with, like different teachers who are like, so that's been really,
Yeah.
it's great.
Well, I
I like
imagine
that.
practicing hot yoga in Florida is kind of tough in general. Just go from hot to
Well,
hot.
yeah, I mean, during the summertime, you just go outside and
Right.
like it's so hot already, but you can just create it for yourself. But I used to like go to studios, and just get that like whatever 100 degree or whatever, it was, and that feeling is amazing. That's kind of like why I love the sauna, but like our sauna is like a one person sauna that
Uh-huh.
we have in the house. It's not like I can do yoga in there,
Right.
but I guess if you get a big enough one, you could practice in there. We don't. Maybe the next one.
There you go. There you go. Well, with all that you're doing right now, and this is kind of on the front door of, I guess, festival season's coming right up.
Yeah.
So what's on this big plan for you for this next summer or for this next festival year?
Oh man. Well, I'm very grateful that a lot of festivals are coming back this year. Events
Right.
are coming back. And I think what I'm seeing in the industry is that because events are coming back, things are going back to normal. The sponsorships for festivals are also starting to come back, which is great because that's how festivals can support artists, musicians, teachers, to come out and pay them what they're, for their time and make it good. And for me, there's a bunch of I have a lot of events this year actually. I
Yeah.
don't even know where my list is, but like I just got booked at where is this? The Telluride Yoga Festival, Drishti Beats. Telluride's in Colorado. Drishti Beats is in Aspen. I went there last year, amazing. There's one called Om Festival in Vermont. That's a new one. They just booked me. Festival of Colors, Salt Lake City.
Mm.
Bend Yoga Festival in Bend, Oregon.
All right.
Couple of like local stuff that I've been doing, and then oh yeah, Soul Yoga, which is in North Carolina. So I'll be traveling kind of like something in Vegas. I forget the name of their exact festival, but it's in June. Um, it's still in the works, but I think I'll be traveling. I'm staying in America for the
Okay.
most part.
All
Like
right.
actually, like yeah, that's been a big thing change for me, I guess. Like I used to travel at least to Mexico a lot and Canada, but I don't know, these days like with family, I'm just trying to it's so much time when you travel
Yeah.
international.
Hmm.
It's just even these gigs, like you're just away from family, and like it's not always easy. I try to take them here and there, but we have
Yeah.
a 4-year old.
Yeah.
She's not there yet where I'm just easy to travel with for festivals, so um I'm kind of in and out, and but people are reaching out. So if the budget is right,
Right.
I'm gonna go out where I'm invited properly and make it happen because it's still my time. I feel to be out there doing it. I'm not like retiring from events, but
Right.
I'm doing less like smaller events and I want it to be worthwhile,
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely.
time wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, this year's looking great to be honest.
That's awesome.
I'm grateful for all the invitations. It was January and I'm like, oh man, I don't have a lot of events, it looks like I'm going to be producing a lot. And then everyone started booking like January, February.
Uh-huh. They had to make sure that the tide was finally settled. And it's like, okay, we're doing
Yeah.
festivals. Let's all get out there and do
Yep.
this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, with your
Yeah.
kid, man, is your kid a little budding producer, a little budding musician also?
I she's definitely a musician, I'll tell you that. So I have her in this program where we play with bells and like she her name is Sophia. She knows how to play melodies already,
Wow.
which is really cool. And she plays this like xylophone, but she knows like the scale C D G like the whole thing, and she's playing like Hot Cross Buns and Mary Had
Yeah.
a Little Lamb and Jingle Bells. But the fact that she knows rhythm and
Yeah.
melody at her age, I didn't do that till I was like probably like 6,
Yeah.
but she's figuring stuff out already. So she's got rhythm, she can sing. She loves to dance. She's definitely artistic. She's not the biggest like sports person,
Hmm.
and neither was I.
Yeah.
It's funny to see that, but she loves music and art, and
That's
it's cool.
beautiful. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool to be able to share that kind of like artistic and creative process with somebody younger, with our loved
Yep.
ones, and watch them get excited about it, because like how they approach is going to be way different than how we approach. She's
Oh my
probably going to
gosh.
like make some music that nobody's ever heard of before, and it's like that's what's up, man.
Totally. The technology, she doesn't like we kind of actually like limit her technology big time.
Hmm.
She goes to this school called Waldorf, and like
Oh yeah. Hmm.
their whole idea is like not to give them cell phones and iPads and stuff till they're like in their like 12. So like so like that's a big part actually of growing kids, because if they have an iPad starting at the age 5, think about it. Like that's crazy stuff.
It
Like
is.
that's a lot of like different kind of stimuli. Could be cool, but like they're seeing a lot of effects of that, so we'll see where that turns out.
Yeah, most definitely, man. There's going to be a lot to see what happens. I mean, I think one of the most interesting things that's come up that I've read about like iPhones and tablets and all that stuff is that
Yeah.
we have a place in our brain dedicated to knowing where our phone is, and there's very few places in our brain that are dedicated to the knowledge of where something is besides being addicted to
Mm.
something. And so like there's like this
Hmm.
strong like addiction that we
Yeah,
have towards these devices. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we
absolutely.
unravel all that shit as we get older.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Taz, I'm so thankful for your time, brother, and thankful for your energy, what you do, what you're putting out there in this world. As again, like as a yoga teacher, I'm so thankful for you for what you make. You make things so much easier for us. But as an avid music listener and a festival goer, I appreciate the community that you create, the safety that you create, the just the different styles of music. It's
Absolutely.
very appreciative, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Adam, for inviting me and sharing this stuff. And I feel really good and hopeful, and it feels like the yoga and music and all these events are kind of like coming back, in the world, like kind of like pre-COVID. It's like there's a new like wave, let's just say,
Yeah.
like it's coming back, because a lot of the old players, they're doing different things, so new players are coming in to
Hmm.
the picture, uh and I think it's just creating a lot of new opportunities for people as well. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this takes you, brother. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you again, man. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for spending time with Taz and I. Check out the show notes for ways to get in touch with Taz, listen to his music, or find out where he's going to be this summer. Obeisance and love. We'll see y'all next time.